My brothers and sisters, have you ever reached a point in life where you felt as though every single door had been slammed shut in your face? You try this way, it doesn't work. You turn that way, it fails. You ask for help, but nobody seems to understand. You look around and it feels like you're standing in front of a wall that is far too high to climb. And in those moments, your heart whispers, it's over. There's no way forward. That sinking feeling, that tightness in your chest, that voice of despair telling you there is no solution. We've all been there in some form. But let me tell you something important. That moment when you feel the weakest, when you feel completely helpless, that is often the moment when Allah shows you His power in ways you never imagined. Because just when you are convinced that there is no door, Allah opens one for you. Not only does He open a door, but sometimes He creates a brand new door, one that you never even knew existed. The truth is, life was never meant to be easy. Challenges are part of our journey. Hardship is part of the test. But those same moments of struggle are also the moments where you discover how powerful trust in Allah really is. Because what you and I see as impossible is nothing for Allah. And once you understand this, once you truly place your heart in His hands, you will witness how He transforms the darkest night into a bright dawn. My brothers and sisters, once we realize that life is a test, it becomes easier to understand why we go through what we go through. Nobody on earth has been promised a life without struggle. Not the wealthy, not the powerful, not even the prophets themselves. Every single human being will face challenges, sometimes in their health, sometimes in their wealth, sometimes in their relationships, and very often in their hearts. But the difference lies in how we respond. Some people see obstacles and they collapse. They lose hope, they become bitter, and they begin to question everything. But others, when they see obstacles, they raise their hands to the sky and say, "Oh Allah, I leave my affair with you." And that one moment of trust changes everything. You see, the reality of this life is that we are not in control. We love to think that we are. We plan our careers, we plan our families, we plan every detail of our future. But how many times has life reminded us that no matter how perfect our plans may be, Allah's plan is greater? And yet this is not a reason for despair. It is the greatest source of comfort. Because while your knowledge is limited, Allah's knowledge is limitless. While your strength is temporary, Allah's power never fades. And while you and I can only see the present moment, Allah sees the beginning, the middle, and the end all at once. So when you say, "I trust Allah," you are not saying it because you expect Him to do things your way. You are saying it because you know that His way is better, even when you cannot see it. Let me give you an example. Imagine a child who is ill. The doctor prescribes medicine that tastes bitter. The child cries and refuses, saying, "Why would you give me something that hurts?" But the parent, out of love, insists, "Take this, because I know it will heal you." The child does not understand, but the parent does. Similarly, when Allah allows us to go through hardship, we may cry and say, "Why, O Allah?" But Allah knows what He is preparing us for. He knows what strength He is building within us. He knows what blessings lie ahead. This is why trusting Allah is not just about believing He exists. It is about surrendering your heart to Him in moments of ease and in moments of difficulty. It is about knowing that nothing, absolutely nothing, happens without His knowledge. And when you truly embrace that reality, your life changes. You begin to see your struggles differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you start saying, "What is Allah teaching me?" Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," you remind yourself, "Allah would not test me with this if I were not capable of bearing it." And instead of giving up, you begin to walk forward one step at a time with faith. My brothers and sisters, every miracle begins with trust. Look at the prophets. When Prophet Musa stood at the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind him, logic said, "This is the end." The people around him cried, "We're finished." But Musa, filled with trust in Allah, said, "My Lord is with me, He will guide me." And what happened? Allah split the sea. When Maryam held her newborn child in her arms, accused and abandoned, She was told to shake the trunk of the palm tree for dates to fall. Imagine a weak woman in labor being asked to shake a tree. But it was not about the action, it was about the trust. She did her part and Allah did the rest. And in our own lives, the same principle applies. You are not asked to control everything. You are not asked to know the unseen. You are asked to try to do your part and then to place your trust in the one who controls everything. But here is the challenge. Trust is not always easy. Trust requires patience, and patience requires faith. Too many times we expect instant results. We make a prayer today, and by tomorrow we want everything solved. But Allah does not work according to our clocks. His timing is always perfect, though we may not see it in the moment. Think about it. Sometimes the delay itself is the blessing. You ask for something, but if it were given to you too soon, it might destroy you. Or maybe if it were given to you at that moment, you would not appreciate it. But when Allah withholds, He is not rejecting you. He is preparing you, and when the time is right, He gives you more than you ever imagined. Let me share with you another perspective. Many people think miracles are about dramatic events, seas parting, illnesses vanishing, enemies defeated. But most miracles in your life are quiet. They happen daily, but we are too busy to notice. The fact that you woke up today, that your heart is beating without you commanding it, that you are breathing air that you did not create, that the sun rose without your effort, these are miracles. But we become blind to them because we are chasing the extraordinary. Trusting Allah means opening your eyes to the ordinary blessings that surround you every single day. And when you begin to notice, gratitude fills your heart. And gratitude is one of the greatest doors to miracles. Because when you thank Allah for what you have, He promises to give you more. But when you ignore His blessings, you find yourself drowning in complaints, even if your life is filled with goodness. So how do we build this trust in Allah? It begins with prayer. Every time you bow your head, you are reminding yourself that you are weak and Allah is strong. Every time you raise your hands, you are declaring that you are needy and Allah is sufficient. And the more you make this a habit, the stronger your trust becomes. Secondly, you surround yourself with remembrance. When you listen to the words of Allah, when you reflect on His creation, when you keep good company that reminds you of Him, your heart becomes firm. But if you surround yourself with negativity, with constant comparison, with people who only pull you away from Allah, then your trust begins to weaken. And thirdly, you must practice surrender. That means when you have done everything within your ability, you stop worrying about the outcome. Worry does not change the decree. Fear does not prevent destiny. Anxiety does not solve tomorrow's problems. But surrendering your heart to Allah brings peace even when the storm rages around you. Remember this, trusting Allah does not mean you will never feel sadness or pain. Even the prophets felt sadness, even they cried, even they went through difficulty. Trusting Allah means that even in your sadness, even in your pain, you still believe that Allah is with you and that He will never abandon you. My brothers and sisters, imagine how your life would change if you truly lived with this mindset. Imagine the peace in your heart if instead of stressing about what is outside your control, you focused only on what Allah has placed within your control. Your effort, your prayers, your character. Imagine the strength you would feel if every time someone doubted you, you reminded yourself, I do not need their approval. I only need Allah's help. This is why we say, with Allah nothing is impossible. Because when you trust Him, you step into a different reality. A reality where closed doors no longer frighten you, because you know that Allah can open doors that you never knew existed. A reality where setbacks do not break you, because you know that Allah may be protecting you from something harmful. A reality where even your failures turn into lessons, because you know that Allah wastes nothing. So my dear brothers and sisters, the next time you face hardship, remember this message. Do your best, leave the rest to Allah, and walk forward with trust. The miracles may not always be flashy, they may not always be instant, but they will come. And when they do, you will look back and say, Subhanallah, what I thought was the end was actually the beginning. What I thought was impossible was always possible for Allah. My beloved brothers and sisters, when we speak about trusting Allah and witnessing miracles, sometimes people think only of the extraordinary. seas parting, the sick suddenly cured, or enemies being defeated. And yes, those are indeed great miracles that Allah has shown throughout history. But I want you to think about something closer to your own life. I want you to reflect on the stories you've lived, or perhaps the stories of people around you, where trusting Allah changed everything. Let me start with something very simple. How many of us have been in a situation where we desperately needed something, perhaps money, perhaps a job, perhaps just a way forward? You applied everywhere, you knocked on every door, you exhausted every means, and just when you thought it was over, when you were about to give up, suddenly an opportunity came your way, not from the places you tried, not from the people you begged, but from somewhere completely unexpected. That is Allah's way of showing you when you rely on Him, He provides in ways beyond your imagination. I remember once a brother sharing his story. He had lost his job and had a family to look after. He applied for dozens of positions, but rejection after rejection left him disheartened. He began to feel worthless. But instead of drowning in despair, he turned to Allah. Every night he prayed. Every morning he reminded himself that his sustenance was in Allah's hands. And then, out of nowhere, he received a call from someone he barely knew, offering him a position he had never even applied for. Not only was it a job, but it paid more than his previous one. He cried, not because of the money, but because he realized when everyone else said no, Allah said yes. This is what it means when we say, with Allah nothing is impossible. Let me share another example, something you may have experienced yourself. Sometimes you go through heartbreak. Maybe you lost someone you loved dearly. Maybe you invested years into a relationship or a friendship only to have it end suddenly, leaving you shattered. At that moment, it feels like your entire world has collapsed. You wonder, how can I ever move forward? How can I ever heal? You cry, you break down, and you feel like life has lost its meaning. But then time passes, and slowly Allah places new people in your life. He heals your heart in ways you didn't think possible. One day you look back and realize that what once broke you was actually a door to something far better. At the time you couldn't understand it, but later you see the wisdom. That is also a miracle. The miracle of healing, the miracle of new beginnings, the miracle of Allah knowing what you don't. Brothers and sisters, every one of us has been through moments of difficulty. Let me take you back to a moment from the life of the prophets, because their lives are filled with relatable lessons. When Prophet Musa was standing at the Red Sea, behind him was Pharaoh's army. In front of him was the ocean. His people cried, "We are finished." From a worldly perspective, there was no escape. But what did Musa say? "My Lord is with me, He will guide me." That trust, that conviction was all he had. And what did Allah do? He split the sea. Now you may be thinking, that was Musa, a prophet of Allah. What about me? But my brothers and sisters, remember this. The same Allah who split the sea for Musa is your Allah too. He is the same Lord you call upon when you are desperate. The miracles may not look the same, but the principle is identical. When you trust Him, He will open a way where you thought there was none. Another story, Maryam, the mother of Isa. Imagine her situation. A young woman, pure and pious, holding a newborn baby, accused by her people of something terrible. She had no husband, no protector, no one to defend her. From a worldly perspective, she was finished. Yet Allah told her to shake the trunk of a palm tree. What strength does a weak woman in labor have to shake a massive tree? None. But it was not about the action. It was about the trust. She did her part, however small, and Allah did the rest. Dates fell, water was provided, and her baby miraculously spoke in her defense. Do you see the lesson? Even when you feel weak, even when your effort seems insignificant, Allah wants you to try. Your job is to make the move, however small, and His job is to bring the result. Think about your own life. How many times have you faced something you thought you could not survive, yet here you are today listening to this reminder? That in itself is a miracle, because what broke others did not break you. What destroyed others did not destroy you. And the reason is that Allah carried you through it, even when you didn't realize it at the time. I remember a sister once shared her story. She was diagnosed with a serious illness. Doctors told her she had very little chance of recovery. She was terrified. But instead of collapsing, she turned to Allah. She prayed with sincerity. She cried at night, and she placed her trust in His decree. Slowly she began treatment. It was painful, it was exhausting, but she kept going. Years later, she stood healthy, looking back at that time and saying, I am alive today only because Allah wanted me to be. Was that not a miracle? Now I want you to reflect on your own journey. Think of a time when you were trapped, when you thought there was no escape. Maybe you were drowning in debt and suddenly a way opened. Maybe you were burdened with grief and suddenly your heart found peace. Maybe you were searching for guidance and suddenly Allah sent you a reminder at the right time. These are not coincidences. These are divine signs that with Allah nothing is impossible. But here's the point, you need to recognize them. Too often we dismiss miracles because they don't look spectacular. We expect the seas to part for us, but we don't appreciate the everyday doors Allah opens. That unexpected phone call, that person who came into your life at the right moment, that sudden clarity in your mind after confusion, these are miracles. They may not make headlines, but they change lives. Brothers and sisters, the real question is, when those moments come, do you attribute them to luck? Or do you recognize them as Allah's mercy? Because the one who recognizes Allah in those small miracles will be granted bigger ones. But the one who denies, who attributes everything to chance, may find themselves blind to the greatest blessings. Let me share one final type of relatable story. Many young people today feel lost. They see others achieving success, getting married, building careers, traveling the world, while they feel stuck. They pray, but their prayers are not answered immediately. They ask, why is Allah not helping me? But years later, they look back and realize that Allah was protecting them. That job they wanted would have led them astray. That person they wanted to marry was not right for them. That delay they hated was actually the reason they grew stronger. And when the right time finally came, they received more than they asked for. That too is a miracle. Not the miracle of getting exactly what you wanted, but the miracle of receiving exactly what you needed. So, my dear brothers and sisters, the next time you face hardship, remind yourself of these stories. Remember Musa at the sea. Remember Maryam at the palm tree. Remember your own moments of despair that turned into relief. And then tell yourself, if Allah carried me before, He will carry me again. If He opened doors before, He will open them again. And if He made a way when I thought there was no way, He will do it again. Because with Allah, nothing is impossible. My beloved brothers and sisters, let me remind you of something very important. The real miracles in your life are not always the ones you see with your eyes, but often the ones you feel in your heart. We live in a world where people expect results instantly. Press a button and food arrives at your door. Type a message and it reaches across the world in seconds. Click a screen and information is at your fingertips. So naturally, we begin to expect Allah's answers to work the same way. We say a prayer and we want the solution tomorrow. But Allah is not like the internet. Allah does not work according to your deadlines. His wisdom is greater than yours, His knowledge is deeper than yours, and His timing is always perfect, even when you cannot see it. So what does that mean for us? It means that trusting Allah requires patience. And patience is not simply waiting. Patience is to remain firm, remain hopeful, and remain faithful even when the situation looks dark. Think about this. If Allah gave you everything the moment you asked for it, there would be no test, no growth, no strength developed. The delay itself is sometimes the greatest blessing because it shapes you into the person capable of receiving what you asked for. Let me remind you of something simple. Every one of us has been through pain, but do you realize that your pain has shaped you? That heartbreak that you thought would destroy you, it taught you resilience. That loss you thought would crush you, it taught you compassion. That failure you thought would end your journey, it taught you humility. And all of these are gifts from Allah, though you did not see them as gifts at the time. You see, brothers and sisters, when we talk about miracles, we often imagine the external, the disease cured, the debt paid, the enemy defeated. But perhaps the greatest miracle is internal, the peace Allah places in your heart while you are still in the storm. How is it that two people can go through the same difficulty, One collapses filled with anxiety and despair, while the other stands firm, hopeful, and calm. The difference is not the situation. The difference is the heart. One heart is filled with trust in Allah, the other is empty of it. And this is the deep reminder. When you trust Allah, you don't only receive solutions, you receive strength. When you rely on Him, you don't only witness external changes, you witness internal transformation. Many people confuse ease with comfort. They think if life is easy, then they are blessed. But the reality is, sometimes life is still hard, yet you are blessed because Allah grants you the ability to handle it with dignity. That too is a miracle. Think about the person who goes through grief. They lose a loved one. The world expects them to collapse. And yes, they cry, because crying is natural. Even the prophets cried. But deep inside, they carry a calmness that others cannot explain. People look at them and say, how are you still standing? How are you still smiling? And the answer is, Allah put peace in their heart. That peace is not something you can buy. It's not something you can learn in a classroom. It's a gift from Allah to the one who trusts Him. Another reminder, my brothers and sisters, sometimes the miracle is not that Allah changes your situation, but that Allah changes you in your situation. You may still be in debt, but He gives you patience. You may still be ill, but He gives you strength. You may still be struggling, but He gives you resilience. And those inner gifts are often greater than the outer solutions. But here is the challenge. We often overlook these miracles because we are too busy waiting for the big ones. We ignore the fact that Allah gave us the strength to wake up this morning, to breathe, to eat, to keep moving forward. We say, where are the miracles? We go while standing in the middle of them. This is why gratitude is so important. Gratitude opens your eyes. Gratitude shifts your perspective. Gratitude allows you to see that Allah has already given you more than you can ever count. And once you begin to notice, your trust in Him grows stronger because you realize, if He has taken care of me up until now, why would He abandon me tomorrow? Let me give you another perspective. We live in a time where people rely heavily on others, on their jobs, on their bosses, on their families, even on governments. And yes, Allah has created a system where we must work, where we must take means, but the ultimate provider is always Allah. If you place your trust only in people, you will be disappointed because people are limited, weak and flawed. But if you place your trust in Allah, then even when people fail you, your heart remains strong. This does not mean you sit back and do nothing. Number trusting. Allah is not laziness. It is not sitting at home expecting food to fall from the sky. Maryam had to shake the palm tree. Musa had to strike the sea. You must also make an effort. You must study, you must work, you must plan, you must try. But once you've done your part, you let go of the fear of the outcome, because you know that Allah never wastes your effort. And here is a beautiful truth. Even if you fail, your effort is not wasted. Maybe the job was not written for you, but the effort taught you new skills. Maybe the marriage did not happen, but the heartbreak taught you resilience. Maybe the project collapsed, but the struggle brought you closer to Allah. That is why we say Allah never wastes the efforts of the believers. So my brothers and sisters, let this sink deeply into your heart. The miracle is not always the change of your circumstance, but often the change of your heart. And once your heart is strong, everything else becomes easier. Do you know what's even more powerful? When you begin to trust Allah so completely that even before the solution arrives, you are already at peace. That is true faith. That is real strength. When you can say, even if I don't see the door yet, I know Allah will open it. Even if I don't feel the relief yet, I know Allah will send it. Even if I don't understand what's happening now, I know Allah has a plan. That is when you begin to witness miracles every single day. So the reminder is simple yet profound. Stop trying to control what is beyond your control. Start focusing on what Allah has placed in your hands. Your effort, your prayers, your character. Leave the rest to Him. Because when you do that, your life changes. The storms don't stop coming, but you learn how to sail through them. The darkness doesn't disappear, but you carry your own light within it. The challenges don't vanish, but you grow strong enough to face them. And that, my brothers and sisters, is the greatest miracle of all. Before we talk about what you should do going forward, let us pause for a moment and reflect on something very important. How do we live this trust in Allah in our everyday lives? Because it is easy to speak about trust when we are inspired, when we are sitting in comfort, when we are listening to reminders. But the real test is when the challenge comes. The real test is when your back is against the wall. The real test is when the tears are falling from your eyes at night and nobody knows. So how do we apply trust in those moments? Let us walk through it step by step. When hardship strikes, the first reaction of many people is panic. They say, why me? What did I do to deserve this? They cry, they scream, and sometimes they even begin to question Allah's wisdom. But those who truly trust Allah respond differently. They also feel pain. Trust does not remove your humanity. They also cry. Tears are natural, but deep inside they whisper, "Oh Allah, I know you would not place me in this position unless there was something in it for me. I may not see it now, but I trust you." That one moment of surrender changes everything, because panic makes your heart heavy, but trust makes your heart light. Panic makes you collapse, but trust gives you strength. Panic makes you feel alone, but trust reminds you that Allah is with you. Let me remind you, every difficulty you face is not random, it is not meaningless. It is tailor-made for you, because Allah knows your soul better than you know yourself. He knows what will purify you. He knows what will strengthen you. He knows what will shape you into the person He wants you to be. So the next time hardship strikes, don't only ask, how can I escape this? Ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? That question alone transforms your pain into growth. Now let us look at the other side. Sometimes Allah blesses you with success, a good job, a happy marriage, good health or wealth. Many people, when they receive blessings, forget Allah. They say, I earned this, I deserve this, I achieved this. And slowly, pride creeps into their hearts. But the one who trusts Allah knows that blessings are also a test. Just as hardship tests your patience, blessings test your gratitude. And gratitude is not only saying thank you with your lips. Gratitude is showing with your actions that you know this blessing came from Allah. Gratitude is being humble. Gratitude is sharing what you have. Gratitude is using your blessing in a way that pleases Allah. If you trust Allah, then when success comes, you will not become arrogant. You will say, Alhamdulillah, this came from Allah. And just as He gave it, He can take it. So let me use it wisely. That attitude protects your heart from pride and keeps you grounded. Another test many of us face is the test of delays. You pray for something and it does not come. You ask again and again and still it does not arrive. You see others getting what they want while you wait year after year, and you begin to wonder, why not me? Has Allah forgotten me? But the truth, my brothers and sisters, is that Allah never forgets you. He hears every word you say. He knows every desire of your heart. But He also knows what is good for you and what is harmful. He knows the right time and the wrong time. Think about it. Sometimes if you received what you asked for too soon, it would harm you. Sometimes if you received what you asked for at all, it would destroy you. But Allah, in His wisdom, withholds it. Not because He is punishing you, but because He is protecting you. So when you face delays, remember, the delay is not denial. The delay is preparation. The delay is growth. The delay is Allah shaping your heart so that when the blessing finally comes, you will appreciate it more than you ever imagined. Another place where many of us struggle is trust in people. We place our hope in human beings, expecting them to never let us down. But people are human. They will make mistakes. They will forget. They will break promises. Sometimes they will hurt you, even unintentionally. If your entire trust is placed in people, then when they fail you, your heart will shatter. But if your ultimate trust is in Allah, then even when people fail you, your heart will remain firm. You will understand that Allah is the one in control, and people are only tools. They are only means through which Allah delivers His decree. So trust people with caution, but trust Allah completely. Love people, but don't depend on them more than you depend on Allah. Appreciate people, but never forget that every gift they give you is ultimately from Allah. Now here is a subtle point. Trusting Allah does not mean distrusting yourself. In fact, it is the opposite. When you trust Allah, you also trust that He has placed within you the ability to face what comes your way. You begin to see yourself as capable, not because you are strong on your own, but because Allah has given you strength. Sometimes people say, I cannot handle this. But Allah Himself says He never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. So if you are facing something, it means you can handle it, even if you don't believe it yet. Trusting Allah means trusting that He has equipped you with the tools, the resilience, and the capacity to survive and thrive. One of the most powerful aspects of trust is to believe in the unseen. You cannot see tomorrow. You cannot see the outcome of your efforts. You cannot see how your current pain will turn into future growth. But Allah sees it all. Faith means believing in what is beyond your sight. Trust means walking forward into the unknown with confidence because you know that Allah's light will guide you. Think about walking into a dark tunnel with a torch. You may not see the end, but you trust that with each step, the light will show you enough to move forward. That is what trusting Allah feels like. You may not know the whole plan, but He reveals to you just enough to keep walking. Now let me remind you, miracles are not only found in dramatic stories, they are happening in your life every single day. The fact that you woke up this morning is a miracle. The fact that your heart continues to beat without you controlling it is a miracle. The fact that you are able to listen, to understand, to reflect is a miracle. And when you begin to recognize these everyday miracles, your heart softens. You begin to realize that Allah has always been caring for you. You begin to see that with every breath, He is giving you another chance to turn to Him. And when your heart recognizes that, trust becomes natural. So my dear brothers and sisters, as you listen to these words, I want you to pause and think. Think about your own life. Think about the hardships you have faced, the blessings you have received, the delays you have endured, the people who have come and gone. And then ask yourself, hasn't Allah always been with me? Maybe not in the way I expected, maybe not in the timing I wanted, but hasn't He always opened a door? Hasn't He always carried me through? Hasn't He always given me more than I deserved? If the answer is yes, and for every one of us the answer is yes, then remind yourself He will continue to do so. The past is proof of the future. The blessings of yesterday are the evidence of tomorrow's miracles. And this is why, my brothers and sisters, before you take action, you must prepare your heart. A heart filled with fear cannot trust. A heart filled with pride cannot surrender. A heart filled with doubt cannot see miracles. But a heart filled with remembrance of Allah, with gratitude, with humility, becomes ready to witness the impossible. So prepare your heart. Empty it of the belief that you control everything. Empty it of the belief that people control your destiny. Empty it of the belief that life is random. And fill it with the certainty that Allah is with you, guiding you, protecting you, shaping you. Once your heart is ready, trust becomes easy. And when trust becomes easy, miracles begin to appear everywhere. And when you begin to live like this, my brothers and sisters, something inside you changes. You stop fearing tomorrow because you know tomorrow is in the hands of Allah. You stop regretting the past so painfully because you know that even your mistakes were part of a journey that brought you closer to Him. You stop comparing yourself to others because you realize that your path is unique. Your tests are unique and your blessings are unique. The person who trusts Allah learns to breathe again. They wake up in the morning with peace in their heart, even if their life is not perfect. They go to bed at night with hope in their heart, even if they are still struggling, because they know that their Lord is the same one who raised the sun today, and He will raise it again tomorrow. And here is the most beautiful part. When you start living with trust in Allah, other people notice it. They see a calmness in you, a strength, a quiet confidence that they cannot explain. They may even ask you, how do you stay so strong? How do you keep smiling? And you will tell them, because I have placed my affairs in the hands of Allah. That in itself becomes a form of dawah, a way of showing others the beauty of faith without even preaching. But never think that trust means you will never feel sadness or worry again. You will. Life is full of ups and downs. Even the prophets felt grief. Even they faced despairing moments. The difference is, they never let that despair cut off their connection with Allah. They cried, but they cried to Him. They worried, but they turned their worry into prayer. They feared, but they channeled their fear into action. That is the model we are meant to follow. So when sadness comes, don't run away from it by drowning in distractions. Don't try to silence it with sin. Instead, carry it to your prayer mat. Pour it out to Allah in the quiet of the night. Tell Him, "Oh Allah, you know what I feel. You know what I cannot even put into words. I leave it in your hands." And you will see how light your heart feels afterward. Some people think miracles are distant only for the chosen ones, but you are chosen too. You are alive, aren't you? That means Allah still wants something from you. That means Allah still sees you worthy of being tested, worthy of being guided, worthy of being lifted. Every breath you take is proof that Allah has not finished with you yet. The one who trusts Allah begins to see every step of life as meaningful. Success is not random, failure is not wasted, pain is not pointless, joy is not accidental. Everything is stitched together by the will of Allah. And once you realize that, you begin to walk lighter, you begin to breathe deeper, you begin to live with a heart that is content. And contentment, my brothers and sisters, is the greatest gift you can carry in this world. Many people chase happiness, but happiness is temporary. It depends on circumstances. Contentment, however, is permanent because it comes from knowing that whatever Allah has written for you is best, whether you understand it or not. So do not wait for your life to become perfect before you trust Allah. Trust Him now, in the imperfection, in the struggle, in the waiting, because it is in those moments that trust truly shines. And when you walk with that trust, you will begin to witness doors opening one by one, sometimes silently, sometimes dramatically, but always beautifully. That is the life of a believer, a life of trust, a life of patience, a life of gratitude, and ultimately a life of peace. My brothers and sisters, now that we have reflected on trust, miracles, and the power of Allah, let me leave you with a very practical call to action, because reminders are beautiful, but unless we act on them, they fade away. Unless we take steps, they remain just words in our ears. So what can you do today, right now, to strengthen your trust in Allah? First, make prayer your anchor every single day, no matter how busy you are. Protect your connection with Allah. Your 5 daily prayers are not a burden, they are your lifeline. They are the moments when you recharge your soul. They are the times when you remind yourself that you are weak and Allah is strong. You are needy and Allah is sufficient. Every time you bow your head, you are not just fulfilling a duty. You are declaring to Allah, "I trust you more than I trust myself." Second, practice surrender. What does this mean? It means you do your best in every situation, you study hard, you work honestly, you treat people kindly. But once you have done your part, you let go of the outcome. Too many of us live in constant anxiety because we want to control everything. But the reality is, you cannot. You cannot control who accepts you, who rejects you, who loves you, who leaves you, what tomorrow will bring. All you can control is your effort and your intention. The rest belongs to Allah. So practice surrender. Say to yourself, "I will do my part and I will leave the result in the hands of the one who knows what is best." Third, cultivate gratitude. Begin to notice the small miracles in your daily life. When you wake up, thank Allah for another day. When you breathe, thank Allah for the air you didn't create. When you eat, thank Him for the food you did not produce. And when you face hardship, instead of saying, "Why me?" try saying, "Oh Allah, help me learn what I need to learn from this test." Gratitude transforms your perspective, and a grateful heart is a heart that trusts easily. Fourth, remind yourself constantly of Allah's past favors. Look back at your own life. Think of the moments when you thought it was over, yet Allah carried you through. Think of the doors He opened for you when you least expected it. Think of the blessings you have today that you once prayed for. These are reminders that Allah has never abandoned you, and He never will. Write them down if you have to, so that when despair comes, you can look back and say, "If He helped me before, He will help me again." Fifth, surround yourself with people who remind you of Allah. The company you keep shapes your heart. If you surround yourself with negativity, with people who drag you away from faith, your trust in Allah will weaken. But if you surround yourself with believers, with people who remind you to pray, who speak words of hope, who guide you back when you slip, then your faith becomes stronger. Choose your company wisely because you are influenced more than you realize. And finally, my brothers and sisters, speak to Allah. Not just in formal prayer, but throughout your day. Talk to Him like you would talk to a close friend. Share your fears, your dreams, your struggles, your hopes. Say, "Oh Allah, guide me." Say, "Oh Allah, give me strength." Say, "Oh Allah, I don't know how to handle this, but I leave it in your hands." The more you speak to Him, the closer you feel to Him. And the closer you feel to Him, the stronger your trust grows. So my call to action is simple. Pray, surrender, be grateful, remember His favors, choose good company, and keep speaking to Allah. These are not complicated steps, but if you make them habits, you will find your life transformed. Now, as we close, let me remind you once more of the central truth. With Allah, nothing is impossible. When you trust Him, you are never truly alone. When you rely on Him, you are never truly weak. When you surrender to Him, you are never truly lost. The world may look at you and say, there is no way forward. But Allah can create a way where no way exists. The world may say, it's over. But Allah can say, this is only the beginning. Your responsibility is not to solve everything. Your responsibility is to try your best, to place your trust in Allah and to walk forward with faith. If the doors open, you thank Him. If the doors remain closed, you still thank Him because you know He is protecting you from something unseen. Remember this, the delays are not rejections. The closed doors are not punishments. The pain is not without purpose. Allah is shaping you, preparing you, guiding you. And one day you will look back and say, Subhanallah, what I thought was the end was actually Allah's greatest gift to me. So never despair, never give up. Never let the whispers of hopelessness convince you that your situation is beyond repair. Because no situation is beyond Allah's power. No heart is beyond His healing. No problem is beyond His solution. With Allah, the impossible becomes possible. With Allah, the broken becomes whole. With Allah, the lost become guided. With Allah, the weakest become strong. And with Allah, you will always find a way forward. So as you leave this reminder today, I ask you, carry this message in your heart. Whenever life knocks you down, remind yourself, Allah has not abandoned me. Whenever you feel trapped, remind yourself, Allah can open a door I cannot see. Whenever you are overwhelmed, remind yourself, with Allah, nothing is impossible. And then, my brothers and sisters, live your life with trust, with hope, and with gratitude. Because when you trust Allah, miracles happen.